are done with Star Wars.
Thank
we
goodness.
are got a whole adventure ahead of us. Marvel content. Scott, it has been 529 days. I did the math since we saw Spider-Man Far From Home, which was our last piece of Marvel content. The thirst is just so very, very real. And Disney is hoping to subdue our appetite with an avalanche of huge announcements. Let's just try to get through these.
Now, we were supposed to have already had Black Widow in this gap.
We were supposed to have, by now we should have watched Black Widow. Eternals would have been last month. And we would have watched all of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I think also WandaVision at this point. Instead, none of it.
Which surprised me because Falcon and Winter Soldier as well as WandaVision could have easily still gone to streaming unless there's something in Black Widow that needs to be out pre.
Well, that's what a lot of people are saying, and it has been confirmed recently that Yelena Volovich will be appearing in Falcon and Winter Soldier and also the Hawkeye show played by Florence Pugh.
Which, okay, then that makes sense why they would hold them. But at some point, you bite the bullet and you push it out.
Right. And Falcon and Winter Soldier were supposed to come out before WandaVision, but now we're getting WandaVision January 15th. I think they were, even though they started a little while after Falcon and Winter Soldier because of the pandemic, Falcon and Winter Soldier being a little bit of a globe-trotting project and not so much on like one location, they had to start and stop several times. And so eventually WandaVision got ahead of them, and that's why we are getting it first. But speaking of those shows, the first thing I want to talk about is trailers for several of them. Our first real look at Loki, our second trailer for WandaVision, we got a good look at What If, and also Falcon and Winter Soldier. So instead of just going piece by piece with all of these, let's talk highlights. What stood out to you? What's your favorite moments or trailers?
Owen Wilson with a greasy mustache in the Loki trailer.
I didn't know that that's what I needed in my life, but after watching that trailer, 100% it is.
Once you see it, you're like, all right, I'm in. And we've talked about this. I didn't really want a Loki show either because we know the end of the Loki story. That and the character has had a lot of screen time, a lot.
You, me, and Tyler talked about that in our last news coverage.
But the trailer made me want to experience more.
Go figure. Marvel takes an idea that nobody asked for and makes us want it.
Guardians of the Galaxy is
the number one. That's exactly the point that I was going to make.
Yep. A property that everyone went, why would you do this when there's all this other stuff? And then everyone gets Guardians of the Galaxy and is like, now I know why. And now then the problem is then everyone's like, well, do every other obscure random thing. Right. Eternals. Anyways.
Where's Hitmonkey? Where's Howard the Duck? And it's like, well, he's in Guardians. I think Loki, and if you would have asked me before watching the trailers, what's your most anticipated? I would have said Falcon and Winter Soldier. But ironically, after watching all the trailers, that's the one that blew me away the least. And I say the least, it doesn't mean I wasn't blown away. It's just, it didn't show me, it showed me the least, I felt. WandaVision obviously is getting more into the obscurity of it. Seeing the time travel elements of Loki seems like just so much fun. And I didn't know how much seeing Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston together, how much fun that would be. And I am sometimes uneducated when it comes to real world things. So I had to go to the comments to find out that there's a clear hint that Loki is DB Cooper, one of the mysteries of our world. Did you pick up on that on the first viewing?
I did not.
So
I'm going to go back and rewatch it again with that.
It's a couple things. At the end, when they show him with the shorter haircut and he's wearing the sunglasses, and if you look up DB Cooper on like Google Images,
I'm big into the DB Cooper mystery.
100%. You see when he jumps out of the plane and he gets sucked up by like the Bifrost, you see the papers flying everywhere that were left by DB Cooper. So I think that's really cool. And then like the last shot being that, it's like vote for Loki and we get like presidential Loki.
It's just got so much good stuff intermixed with it. And again, that one is one that made me feel like this is something I would want to watch more after seeing the trailer. WandaVision, I love the cut-ins of the old sitcom feel, like I Love Lucy type stuff. There's a lot of cool things with that one. I'm with you. Falcon Winter Soldier was the one at the end. I was like, okay, like quit giving me all this Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier. Give me Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. But anyways, I felt the same. I think I was least blown away by Falcon Winter Soldier, and I would put it Loki surprised me and made me want to see it the most. I really want to see WandaVision because I also love. Oh, why did I just lose his name? Vision, the
Paul
actor.
Bettany.
Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany is such a great actor. I'm looking forward to that show, and then Falcon Winter Soldier. It's a buddy cop
So I think
dealish type thing. So
what Loki and WandaVision both have going for them is crazy visuals, and both of them are very high concept. One's time travel, one's reality bending. So they trailer better. You know what I mean? When you're just showing snippets of them, I think it builds a lot more excitement and anticipation. Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier, from a surface level, like tip of the iceberg view, like you said, it's a buddy cop action thing. And I'm sure we're going to get so much more when we actually dive into the show, but there's not much that you can give us trailer wise for that show. So I understand why visually, when we're just being stimulated, that's the one that's the least stimulating. And the two things I wanted to see the most were more Baron Zemo and what he's up to. I want to see the mask and what his purpose is, and also something Walker. I'm forgetting the name of the U.S. agent that takes up the mantle of Captain America and his shield. I want to know what that story is, but neither of those things we saw in the first trailer, which is understandable. It was our first look.
Yeah, again, easy, like you said, it's easy to put together a really exciting trailer when you're pulling from all over the map. And you've got snippets from everything that just confuse the trailer and make it seem like, what's this?
Right.
And you get to put it all together. It is what it is. I'm sure all three shows will be good. They put the time and energy and effort into them. I doubt that Marvel would just pump something out for the sake of pumping it out. They only put quality product. Matter of fact, I wrote that down in one of the notes on the whole Disney reveal was quality, not quantity, right?
What cracked me up about that is their quality, not quantity. Here's 50 shows.
Okay, so yeah, quality over quantity. I think one of the big teasers with this is that the idea is it's 10-year window versus everything they told us it was a lot, but it was stretched out. So this isn't everything we're getting next year. It's for a while.
So as from what I understand from the presentation, I believe it's over the next 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, I guess granted, you're doing a lot of Star Wars and a lot of Marvel.
Right. They said that their goal, I believe, I don't remember if they included Disney proper stuff in this too, but I believe series wise, they want you to have a piece of original content from either Marvel, Star Wars, or like Pixar or something dropping every week. So they want to fill out the entire calendar. And if you're doing 30, 40-minute episodes, that's pretty consumable, in my opinion. Like a lot of people are like, oh, this is too much stuff to watch. I'm like, not if they keep their model of episodic.
Yeah. And one episode a week is easy to keep up on.
Let's say worst case scenario, there's 2 or 3 shows that you're watching, right? It's an
half-hour shows.
Yeah.
Like that's not crazy by any means, especially because now you can take it on the go. You can watch the episode from work, from wherever you're at. You can easily digest all the material.
And just for your update, you are coming in clear again. So
okay, perfect.
All right, so now we can move on to other show news, and I think we're excited for all. Oh, you know what? We did not talk about What If. I'm sorry, we got to go back to What If really quick because I thought that looked fascinating. The animation a little bit like Clone Wars is kind of off-putting at first, but I think the storytelling is going to be there. The voice work is the stars that we have from the MCU: Chris Evans, Sam Jackson, Benedict Cumberbatch. So what in the What If trailer really stuck out to you, whether it be certain moments or the potential for different takes on characters in the trailer?
Well, I love the Agent Carter taking on the Captain Britain, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Role was pretty cool. There's 2 different snapshots that I really like, and it almost plays to the multiverse of Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. And then on the subway, almost like in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, there's a moment when he's on the inside of the train going through the vortex of the multiverse, and there's a moment where it's like that, but it's Winter Soldier versus Zombie Cap.
Yeah, Marvel Zombies. That's a big pull.
Yeah, the Zombie Cap in that moment was one of those things I was like, ooh, okay. And you get to see Winter Soldier Bucky catch the shield and then throw it back at him. But On top of that, the voices that you get to catch everybody. There's even a quick snippet of Chadwick Boseman
Right. It was the
audio.
last thing. It was like one of the last things he did.
Yeah, and so it's yeah. There's lots of little bits all over it, and I thought the big thing for me would have been Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange, Zombie Cap, and then Agent Carter as Captain Britain. I
Which
mean, all really.
my favorite moment actually was, I mean, you briefly brought up Chadwick Boseman, but out of all those scenarios, the idea of a young T'Challa being picked up by Yondu and the Ravengers and taken out into space to become that universe's Star Lord is what captivates me the most. These seem like they'll be. It's fluff. I mean, it's Marvel fluff certainly with no real substance to it, but man, wouldn't it be fun? And these are all little one-off, single episode adventures, and I'm looking forward to taking a look at them when they come out. So, other than the What If, we also got our first look at Miss Marvel, starring, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to mispronounce the name, Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, and Kamala is also now set up to appear in Captain Marvel 2. What are your thoughts on the first look at Kamala Khan and the announcement that she will be in Captain Marvel? It makes sense.
Yeah. So the announcement of the Miss Marvel, I think it's a good casting.
I mean, obviously, none of us are familiar with her work because it's a fresh face.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I'm also for any strong, positive female lead role models,
and not just leads, but like overall diversity with having a Pakistani character.
Absolutely, the fact that they're not just pigeonholing us the same stuff over and over again, and having a daughter. Matter of fact, she climbed up with me. Having a daughter and wanting to see strong female representatives is huge, and it's not that we need to do that to every one of the characters or everything, but it's good to have that diversity and to change it up so that we're not getting spoon-fed the same kind of carbon copy of, hey, here's your standard 30-year-old white guy playing the superhero.
And to add to that point, it's a generational of female representation because we have both Carol and Kamala taking on the Marvel mantle.
Oh, absolutely. Which is phenomenal. Awesome. And Captain Marvel was one of the best received Marvel movies that we've had for quite some time.
And I think adding to that, it's all right. Disney's a family property. Adding to kind of the strength of the female representation is we also have, one of those things that falls under the worst kept secrets in the business, but official confirmation from Disney that Tatiana Maslany, is it Maslany? I think that might have been a typo on my part, but it's cast as She-Hulk, and Haley Steinfeld is officially Kate Bishop. But I mean, we've been seeing set photos of her on Hawkeye for like the last couple of weeks, so
yeah,
big surprise. I think great casting on both sides of that, but it's nice to get official confirmations. Do you have any additional thoughts on just the casting?
No, not really. I think the Kate Bishop one is a great casting spot. Yeah, and again, it's easy to nitpick these things from a distance, but Marvel produces. It's always quality stuff, and to sit in the back row and say, oh, I would have picked somebody different. I would have done this different.
Yeah, don't be a backseat driver.
Yeah, Disney, Marvel, they do a great job of picking people with a lot further kind of foresight than most people do. And you can, the number of people and characters that people have hated the casting that turned out to be amazing is pretty long. And as long as the product that hits the screen is of quality, then all is forgiven. And so I think the castings that they've done are great. And it also provides a future beyond the characters that we've known for the last decade.
And an interesting point that was made during the presentation is that they said the She-Hulk would be about a lawyer trying to be taken seriously who also happens to be green and 6'7". I was like, well, Tatiana is not 6'7", so very interested to see what kind of either motion capture or was it forced perspective like they do in the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings films, what kind of tactics they might use for that show.
Yeah, forced perspective is one of those things that's just good camera work can do work miracles. Putting people in kind of insert platform shoes stuff. There's all kinds of practical effect things you can do with camera angles, lighting.
Look at Tom Hardy and Bane.
Yeah.
Christian Bale's bigger than Tom Hardy.
Up until they get into a fist fight, and then you realize, oh wait, Tom Hardy's tiny, and suddenly the 7 foot tall Bane is smaller than the 6'3" Batman.
Emphasis on good camera work.
Yes, the only place the fist fight worked is when they were still going up the steps, and Tom Hardy was above Batman. But once on level footing, it's like, well, this doesn't work at all. And, especially because in every other angle they shoot Bane, they make him seem 9 feet tall. I know that's an exaggeration, but they really do work the angles to make him seem giant, and then it doesn't happen.
And on the topic of She-Hulk, they also confirmed that not only, I mean, it was much speculated that Mark Ruffalo would be returning to She-Hulk as Bruce Banner. He's the reason she is She-Hulk. It's his blood, and stuff like that. So that makes sense. But in addition to that, we get the return of Tim Roth's Abomination. Now, aside from Thunderbolt Ross, who returned from the Incredible Hulk movie, we haven't seen a lot of overlapping themes and ideas from the Incredible Hulk film that have tied into the rest of the MCU. Are you excited to see both Banner and Abomination?
I'm pumped for that, especially because we've never really gotten enough Banner. We've never gotten enough of the of Hulk on screen. What we get is always like enough to leave you wanting more, which is normal. They always tease you with wanting more. But with this, the hope is that we'll get a decent chunk, at least something more. But as far as Tim Roth and the Abomination, I happen to love the Ed Norton Hulk, Incredible Hulk. That one was really good, and I was disappointed that Edward Norton didn't want to carry forward. However, Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk now.
Right. What's interesting to me is, I mean, they said Bruce Banner, but like I would assume, because this would be after Endgame, because She-Hulk obviously hasn't been around.
He's already more emerged, unless we're going to alternate timeline.
That's what it should.
Multiverse.
It should be Professor Hulk, unless after taking his injury and stuff to his arm, he reverted back and found like a way to like cure the Hulk. I don't know. It's another one of those things where I'm not pessimistic about it. I'm just more curious. So we'll try to bump through some of the rest of these. I will just read off these new shows that they have coming out, and you tell me what pops off to you. Sound good?
Sure.
All right. I Am Groot. Vin Diesel returns as Baby Groot for a series of short films starring everyone's favorite talking twig, and that to me is on line with Droid Story. I didn't ask for this. It's for a different audience. If I'm bored, maybe I'll watch it.
The difference with this is these are short stories. I think they can do really well with doing little snippet short movie tiny things. But the idea that we don't need a full series of these, but small little bits, cool. Those could be fun. My fear when I first heard it was like, how are you going to make this into something? You can only have so much of Baby Groot beating up humans. Actually, you can't have enough of that. But
I was about to say, where's the cutoff point? Let me know where it's at.
It wasn't something I was asking for. If anything, just give me Guardians of the Galaxy 3 already, and branch it out there, or get me Groot
branch
in
it
with,
out. Branch. Yeah.
So the it is what it is. But I'm glad they're doing a shorter. They're intentionally making that a short series.
And then we have two series that are, I'm sure, closely tied together, and that is Ironheart, which has already been cast with Dominique Thorne. Not overly familiar with her work, but she will be the engineering prodigy Riri Williams, who is from, again, more recent Marvel comics, kind of in the vein of Miss Marvel, somebody to take up the mantle. Obviously, she is not Iron Man, and Iron Woman sounds stupid, so it is Ironheart, which I think is a cool name. Cool character, and some people were speculating that this would be the type of role that Shuri, with all her tech savviness, would be taking up. So it's cool that they're actually bringing in Riri Williams, and also Armor Wars, starring Don Cheadle, once again as James Rhodes or War Machine. The series will examine what happens when Tony's fear of his tech getting in the wrong hands, which seems to be a very consistent theme throughout the movies, becomes a reality. How does his legacy move on once he is gone? Something that we are exploring in the MCU on a frequent basis. What are your thoughts on the more Iron Man centric series?
I'm more excited about Ironheart than I'm about Armor Wars, mostly because I think that's been expressed. Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3,
Iron Man,
multiple Iron Man. They also expressed or with
Age
Ultron,
of Ultron, yeah,
Age of
yeah.
Ultron, the Iron Sentinels that were out there. They've touched on this storyline a lot.
The horse
Now
is
that
dead.
Iron Man's dead, now it's a free for all. However, if they're going to go forward with Iron Heart, isn't that addressing it? And how is Don Cheadle or Rhodey going to help address this? Other than the fact that he's War Machine. So I think I was past that character and moving past that kind of storyline of how they're going to handle his tech getting out to everybody. But you know, as long as the product that hits the screen is good, that's the important thing. But I'm more excited about the fact that they did not go with Iron Woman or Iron Girl or any of that stuff. They went Iron Heart, and they're carrying forward that legacy of Iron Man in a new way. That is more exciting than Armor Wars.
Let me ask you a question really quick, because I reflect your sentiments on both of these pretty much 100%. What do you think are the chances that we see Pepper Potts as Rescue in either or both of these series?
I'm sorry, I apologize. What was
No,
the
no,
question? One more
no.
time?
The question was, I agree with your sentiments. What do you think are the chances that we see Pepper Potts or Rescue in either of these series, or potentially both of them?
I think you would see it in the Iron Heart series more than yes, than the Iron. Sorry, my son was trying to pick a show. I think seeing Rescue in the Iron Heart as a female mentor, and she also understands his tech, understands the legacy that he really wanted to leave. Pepper is aware of, and so I think that's a more likely scenario for getting Rescue in there. You could see her as an older female mentor role to help the character along and develop and to take on the mantle of being Ironheart versus seeing her show up to help Rhodey fight battles.
One of my hopes for Ironheart is that it could maybe indirectly take some of the weight off of Peter's shoulders, because I feel like the Spider-Man movies have very much been how he lives in Tony's shadow and being Iron Man Jr. And I'm ready for Spider-Man to be Spider-Man and be his own character. So having us have these like subsidiaries of Iron Man spin-off shows, I think lets his uniqueness kind of shine through, and he doesn't have to be little Tony anymore.
Correct.
And maybe they're not related, but that's my thought going into this. Like, I hope it doesn't mean that we're still getting Iron Spider movies and 2 Iron Man spin-off shows. Like, we need to move forward.
I don't mind Tom Holland and Spider-Man using Tony's tech, like the glasses, to be able to see what's real and everything, and that all illusions are down at the end of
Edith.
I'm fine with those. And I'm fine with him using some of Tony's tech that's helped improve his suit, all kinds of other things. But I don't want to. I'm with you. I don't need to see the Iron Spider. If it's a weapon he has in his arsenal that he can fall on, sure. But is it something he needs to be? No. And being able to, for that character, be able to pick up other things is huge. It means that it's not, he's not stuck trying to be the next Iron Man. He can be Spider-Man.
So I want to go into like the last bit of series news. Are you still talking? Because it's I don't hear sound. Oh, it's just catching
the
up
video,
on video
lagged and it just caught up.
Okay, that was frightening to watch. It was like the character from The Ring.
Video lagged and then caught up in like super fast forward.
Yikes. Okay, so Secret Invasion is what I want to talk about real quick. And it's one of the biggest comic crossovers in recent years. It's being adapted to the small screen. There was rumblings of a Nick Fury show, and that is apparently what this is going to be. It's starring Sam Jackson's Nick Fury and also Ben Mendelsohn's Talos, I forgot how to pronounce it, from Captain Marvel. The series will explore the Skrull invasion on Earth and ask the question, who can you trust? Now, originally people thought that this would be the storyline for the second Captain Marvel. My thoughts are that it is likely to tie in very heavily with the second Captain Marvel. So what do you think about Secret Invasion, and are you looking forward to that being explored on Disney Plus?
No. Again, it's another property that they're pushing stuff out, and I get it. It's expanding, and it's there are people who want these storylines, but it's.
I think Secret Invasion
survives with or without it.
I think Secret Invasion has really large ramifications. It definitely did in the comics, but with the movies as well. When you are going to have to ask the question, "In what I seeing on screen, the character that I know, or is it a Skrull?" And if it lasts past the show and we start seeing it in the films and some of the other properties, I think that it could be worth it to at least watch it and see what happens.
Yeah, but again, I think that could be easily intermixed in the movies. But having a show to maybe set the precedent, so that will play a role in Phase 7 or whatever they're going to be in by that point.
We got to get to the Super Skrulls, the Fantastic Four and things, right?
Yeah. Oh, dear goodness. That's the thing is they've announced so many things. Like it's going to be hard to keep track of every one of these properties. But Marvel does do their best to keep continuity to where these side shows make sense with the main storyline arc. And perhaps this will be a way to introduce how we get to the next, to Galactus or whoever the next major villain is going to be for the MCU.
Could be Kang, which we'll talk about here soon. So that's
he's going to be in the next Spider-Man movie. So it seems like if he's the overarching, Ant-Man, but if he's going to be the overarching villain for the future, I think we're going to see more of a Thanos type hinting at the background for behind, maybe who's pulling the strings behind Kang.
Sure. That's a fair thought. All right. So moving on to, pandemic be damned. We do have movie news. Yeah. Director James Gunn will be filming a Guardians holiday special in vein of like the Star Wars holiday special. And he'll be filming it concurrently while working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And it will be coming to Disney Plus. Don't know much about that. James Gunn, Guardians, Christmas. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what else to say.
My hope is that it's just as cheesy as possible. And all I can think is that this is an opportunity for Star-Lord to try and introduce Christmas to the other characters and let them know what Christmas is all about.
How much fun would that be?
That's the only thing I can think is that they're doing a Christmas special. It's got to be, hey, let me introduce you to the tradition of my planet, and it'll be ridiculous.
Can we please get?
That's my hope. Is that that's.
Can we get Drax singing Christmas carols? Like that's what I feel like I need in my life.
Oh my gosh! Anything Drax, because he's so deadpan, is perfect because he's the most ridiculous version of himself.
And just Mantis messing up all the lines, and Baby Groot just humming "I Am Groot" to a melodic tune,
or everyone saying this is what they want for Christmas, and Mantis saying this is what they actually want for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then are they gonna intermix Thor in this? Yeah. Is he gonna be a part of this, trying to understand the tradition? So. And talking about the fact that Odin is actually Santa Claus.
Oh my
gosh. There's so many weird things they could do with that. I'm excited. If anything, it'll be. I hope they intentionally pan the Star Wars Christmas by making it as cheesy, over the top, and ridiculous as possible.
All right. Moving on with more sequel news. An update on Black Panther 2. It has now been confirmed. They first said that they would not be using a CGI double for T'Challa or Chadwick Boseman, but they now said they are not going to recast T'Challa in Black Panther. I knew no matter what their choice was, I was going to have mixed feelings, but overall be confident in Marvel's choices and believe that they made the right choice and talked to enough people involved in both Chadwick's life and amongst the company to properly bring the story forward.
Yeah, the legacy that Chadwick Boseman left beyond Black Panther, but just in his character, the way he carried himself, the way he lived his life. To try and have somebody step in to fill his shoes, the noble thing to do would be let it go. move on. Cast somebody else, change the role, have somebody else, or not change the role, move on from the character, let the character pass, pay them tribute. I'm sure they could find a way to intermix some of his lines and do things where they can splice it together to maybe do a send off for him within the movie.
Carrie Fisher.
Exactly. But I think it would be a disservice to Chadwick Boseman to try and have somebody step in and carry that role. Whoever did it would be forever cursed with trying to carry forward such an iconic character, an iconic role. And as far as Black Panther's still one of the best received Marvel standalone movies across the board.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like I'm fine with that, and Marvel will do a good job of sidestepping, introducing the next person to take on the mantle of Black Panther. There will be a Black Panther, it just won't be T'Challa.
And it's very interesting to me. The two options that people bring up most often, neither of them work for me. The first option that people present is Shuri. But to me, Shuri her sker sets lie otherwise. She's not a physical warrior like the Black Panther has always been, whether it be T'Chaka or T'Challa. Yeah. Her experience lies with her tech, which is not to cheapen or lessen that at all. It's fantastic, but it's just she doesn't seem like Black Panther. Also, if she were to get the mantle, anybody who questions her rule, and she's very young and she's also not interested in ruling, can just show up and have a trial by combat. And she's a tiny lady, she's very small. And so the other person people bring up is Winston Duke as M'Baku. My issue with M'Baku is he's from the Jabari tribe, which they worship the ape, or the white ape. They don't believe in I believe the best. I'm trying to remember the name of the Panther god, but they don't believe in the Panther god.
No.
And it doesn't make sense that he would become Black Panther. Ruler of Wakanda, maybe, but not the next Black Panther.
No, but that's the thing. The Black Panther is the ruler of Wakanda. That's
right
the
now,
whole
because
point.
that's their tribe.
Yeah.
But if he were to take over, it wouldn't be the Panthers anymore, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those scenarios where they are going to have to explore how they want to move forward carefully, very carefully.
To not break continuity or, character loyalties. And it's rough. I'm surprised they're not pushing this back. Like, they're pushing it back, I think 4 or 5 months. I'm surprised they didn't push it back a couple of years.
Yeah, and I'm sure Marvel eventually had a game plan for how to get T'Challa out and move on with the future Black Panther, and the passing of the torch. The hard part is now they're just being forced to do it way earlier than anticipated. They didn't want to do it now. They wanted to do this down the road. And so, how do you navigate that in this setting?
Right. All right. So we just only have a few more, so we'll try to get through these. Ironically, we have giant news for Ant-Man. The film will be titled Ant-Man Quantumania. And can I just really quickly say I'm loving the titles of this next phase of Marvel movies, whether it be Multiverse of Madness, Quantumania, Love and Thunder. The main cast is all set to return, with the addition of now confirmed Jonathan Majors from Lovecraft Country as Kang the Conqueror. And
so good.
Me and my girl just finished watching Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the animated show, where Kang has a very large presence in it as the big time traveling villain. It's like, imagine Thanos screwing with timelines. It's a scary thought.
Isn't that in Doctor Strange, the bad villain at the end of that?
Dormammu.
Yes. I wanted to say Mordo, but that's not right. That's from Brave. That's a bear.
You're thinking of Baron Mordo, which was Chiwetel Ejiofor.
There we go. But the idea that to intermix time travel, and that's one of the big things with this next phase. If we're going to see multiverses and time travel and all these other things, this next phase could just be blown apart as far as timeline and what we view. Absolutely. And so maybe that's the way they go with the Black Panthers, to mix that in. But for Ant-Man to be pulling in a character like Kang is pretty impressive. And again, Ant-Man was a movie that everyone was like, what? and no, a lot of people didn't really want it. The casting of Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, a lot of people are like, Paul Rudd's a rom-com star. He's not an action hero.
It wouldn't have worked for Hank Pym, but like that's when they said Ant-Man, I was like, and then they said Scott Lang, not Hank Pym. I said, okay, I can see that now.
Oh yeah, way different. And I love that they went with old Hank Pym and young Scott Lang. But the dynamic there, they've hit 2 home runs with both the first 2 movies.
Absolutely.
And I think Quantumania, the idea that now also with Endgame and going into time travel, all the things they've been able to figure out with that, with the quantum realm, there's just the avenues for Marvel to move forward are varied, and they can literally pick from anything to pull off what they want to pull off.
And speaking to like all that expansion, they have now said that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness will tie in both to WandaVision, which we already knew, and Spider-Man 3. And with some of the casting announcements that we haven't gotten around to talking about, the multiverse is like all but confirmed for Spider-Man or the Spider-Verse. And I think with the success of Into the Spider-Verse getting Best Animated Film for the year, I think at first they were cautious about exploring multiverses with the Spider-Man universe and just in general, thinking that it'd be over the heads of the general public, which I understand the fear. But with that big win for them, I think now they're ready to go full force into some of these higher concepts.
Oh yeah. The future for Marvel is bright. Let's just say that. They've literally they can pull from anything, do anything, and now that they've let me just say, we can go back to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, possibly one of the best Spider-Man movies we've ever received.
To me, it's my favorite Spider-Man movie, and then I'd say that Far From Home is actually my favorite live action film, and I have to divvy them up that way.
Yeah, because it's separate, but it does such a good job in that movie, and so I'm just excited because we get a literally anything they want to do right now with the Spider-Man multiverse, and if we're really talking about like Spider-Man and what we think might be coming down the pipeline with all the actors supposedly confirmed, depending on what news site you're listening to. Like that we might actually get the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield.
You can call him Andy. We're friends.
and Tom Holland multiverse layover that we get to see all 3 on screen. Are they going to bring back Gwen Stacy?
There's rumblings.
Or are they going to mix in a Miles Morales that we just don't know of yet? In that case, who are they going to cast? That's the thing. I think this would be a good treatment for the people who still love Tobey Maguire. A lot of people still love Tobey Maguire and think of him as their Spider-Man. I happen to really love
You paused there for a second, but I will agree with you. I've enjoyed both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man for different reasons, and it would be, I think, very appropriate. Andrew never got a proper send-off because his franchise kind of fell apart in the second movie, and I would have loved to see more of him. This would be a really cool chance to see both Toby and Andrew get a send-off and do an official torch passing to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. As far as the Miles Morales thing goes, it would be a lot to introduce in this movie, and I've heard somebody else make a good point that Spider-Man seems to always be playing second fiddle to somebody, and in the first the first Spider-Man movie, it was Iron Man who's under the shadow of Iron Man, and he was still feeling that shadow in both Far From Home and Infinity War. And now they're saying that Doctor Strange is going to be taking over that mantle as far as being, or not the mantle, but the burden of being the kind of coach to Spider-Man. So with introducing potentially all these other Spider-Man, I just don't want it to take away from who Peter is and let Peter be his own hero and his own character. So I'm a little cautious by introducing all, like, the other 2 Spider-Man and their villains and Miles Morales. Like, I think Tom finally needs to get a movie where he gets to be the Spider-Man. So hopefully they balance it well, but I have all the faith in the world when it comes to Marvel.
Yeah, I think that this is an opportunity where they can really do a lot. And if they do bring the other guys in, it's in a limited capacity just to do like a fan treatment of bringing them in without them overtaking the role, or that they come in, they're having problems, and Tom Holland has to step up as the
That would
savior
be
Spider-Man.
fantastic. I would
Um,
love that.
and especially because Tobey Maguire is older now.
Yeah.
You could play him as the old beat up.
He's the
Spider-Man.
Peter B. Parker now.
Oh my gosh! And which, by the way, my favorite character in all of the Spider-Verse is Peter B. Parker. The old out of shape. I ate too much pizza. My life fell apart. I got married and divorced. Like, I'm the middle-aged Spider-Man.
Can we say or just how cool it would be? I mean, I'm afraid of them taking it out of hands, but to have Jake Johnson show up in some capacity in live action would kill me.
His sarcasm as Spider-Man, as Peter B. Parker, is so good. If any,
I think we're still experiencing some connection issues, but I think that seeing Jake would be very entertaining. And again, I don't want them to overstuff it and have like 20 Spider-Man, because then it's just a giant cliche, and you basically get what you got with Crisis on Infinite Earths with the CW verse, which the general reception of that was that it was pretty disappointing, and it was just so much fan service that it lacked actual structure or like content, which I understand. I do want to move on to our last topic, and I'm going to say last because we had some Disney stuff queued up here, but just between like connection issues and some of the things, we'll probably have to save that for another day or bring it up in another conversation. But I am saving the best for last. Kevin Feige announced that Marvel's first family is coming to the big screen and will be directed by Spider-Man's John Watts, which is interesting because Peyton Reed has been campaigning for years that he would love to do a Fantastic Four movie. And he also is in the Marvel family doing the Ant-Man films. But John Watts is 2 for 2 for me. Like, I enjoyed Homecoming. I think Far From Home is even better. I think there's several directors maybe outside the MCU that I would have picked for Fantastic Four, but nevertheless, seeing Marvel take on these characters has me very excited. And I say this because out of everything announced for the MCU, this is what I'm most excited about currently.
I'm just glad they picked somebody with a good track record, not some new guy, not some upstart. Somebody who knows how to put together a story, put together a film. And then also I trust I trust Marvel so much more than I trust Fox to make anything hero related. I mean, X-Men 1, maybe X-Men 2. There's so much that could be really positive going forward here that I'm excited for this, because I feel like we're going to get the treatment that they deserve.
I agree, and I think it's kind of unanimous. Like, these last couple of years have been the years of the fans kind of causing casting, whether it be Rosario Dawson, who there was a lot of fan fervor for back in 2017. I wanted Jason Momoa for Aquaman before it ever happened. So it's exciting to see that the voices can be heard, and if there's and then Ryan Reynolds getting a chance to be Deadpool again. But has there ever been something as loud as people shouting to the heavens that we want John Krasinski and Emily Blunt to be Reed Richards and Sue Storm? And those two have heard the calls for it. Hopefully Marvel has too. And I think that would be really great, unless they're going a completely different direction and they want to do a younger cast again, which I think would be a mistake. But John Watts does a really good job with working with younger actors and child stars. That's in some of his independent films. That's what he did. And also the Spider-Man film. So I don't know if he's going to take a look at an older cast. I think we probably are in agreement on Reed Richards and Sue Storm. Is there people that you would like for maybe a Ben Grimm or a Human Torch?
No, as far as casting, there's not anybody who really jumps out at me, because I actually liked Young Giffard or Ian Giffard for
I did too.
Mr. Fantastic. Michael Chiklis as Thing or Ben Grimm, great. I was all for those original casts. My bigger thing is who's going to be the villain. If they're going to do Doom again, are they going to do him properly? And I'll be honest, I would prefer them to do somebody else and save Doom.
I'm very mixed on that, because like I'm anxious to see a good Doom, but at the same time, Fantastic Four has always been about dimension hopping, time traveling, going through vortexes and wormholes and space travel. And Doom's an earthbound villain, and there's so much more that you could do with Fantastic Four than just the leader of Latveria.
Absolutely. And if you rush stuff, we know what happens, right?
Yeah.
Or if you just have a crappy story, we know what happens. And so we've seen 3 different Fantastic Four movies, or the Fan Four Stick. The fact is, we need better. We need a better story. The casting, the casting. I'm sure they'll pick people, and I'm sure that it doesn't matter who they pick. There's going to be hardcore fans to say, you know what, I don't like it. My thing is, put something better on screen, regardless of the casting, and the casting will be fine.
I'll be an adult if they pick somebody else for Reed and Sue. I'm not going to throw a tantrum about it. Like, I think that we have 2 good choices, but there are thousands of actors out there.
Yeah, exactly. I did like in the Fan Four Stick, we just went blank on his name. The gentleman who played
Miles Teller.
Yeah, Miles Teller. I liked as Reed Richards. I thought he was really good at it. Did I like Jamie Bell as Ben Grimm? No.
And my thing is, like, I think Michael B. Jordan could have worked as Human Torch, but the inconsistency of needing to have an adopted family unnecessarily didn't work for me. And Kate Mara on paper also could have worked, but all of them together with terrible directing and writing, none of it came together.
Listen, when the director comes out and apologizes to the fans for what the studio put out that was not his vision going into the movie, you know it's garbage. He came out and made a public apology to the fans because the movie he wanted to make was not what they made. And that's like Ben Grimm becomes an assassin for the military. Just there's so many storylines.
Release the Trank cut.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was bad.
But I mean, I'm really excited about it. Can't wait to hear more news. I think it's like 2023 probably. So we're a ways out from it, understandably. We are going to have, it's going to be worth it. We had this very, very dry year in a drought of comic book material, and we are going to go from gasping for a drop of water or a drop of content to drowning in it. So you can almost savor these last few days.
Well, we talked about this on one of our other podcasts. The downer of 2020 means we're going to be backlogged and they're going to be pumping material into us like crazy. Because not only have we not been able to watch anything, nothing's been hitting the screens, they haven't been able to produce. They can't make any movies because the protocols to film with COVID and the isolation and all these things are so intense that
and if you get one case, you're shut down for like weeks. Look at Batman. Batman should have been done already, but it's gotten stopped and started and stopped and started.
Which I'm still excited for. But, there's so many things that have been delayed with this year that coming down the pipeline, we're going to have superhero movies just mashing us because, like you said, we're 560 days since we saw the last Marvel movie.
Yeah. And I mean, what my co-host here is trying to say is that Disney's constipated. And
they got a lot of stuff to flush down the line.
I had to take some X-Lax, and 2021 will be the results of that.
Which is fine. Send us the stuff. We want to see it.
Put it in a bucket.
As gross as that sounds with the X-Lax visual.
Right,
but yeah, we have a lot of stuff we're waiting patiently for that. The other thing is there's money tied up in the studios. They've invested mountains of money, more than you and I could ever dream of, into making these properties, and now they're just squatting on them.
Which is why they had to have this investors call, and make it public. All right. Well, with that being said, I want to say thank you for our listeners for joining us as we dove into some of the biggest news stories of the year. I want to know what spoke to you guys. What are you most anticipating? Let us know in the comments below, and please don't forget to subscribe to Flick and Reel and hit that little bell icon so you can be notified every time we release new content. And if you are listening to us on SoundCloud, give us a follow. From Scott and myself, thank you for stopping by, and keep it real.